With African American quilts, what I see is the same as what you see in jazz. Jazz artists, for the most part, have been trained in traditional classical music. But what they do is, having learned that traditional classical, they then improvise. It's how we interpret how to make a quilt. So with African American quilting, you will see syncope of color.
I was just using scraps, and I didn't want to take the sewing machine to a retreat.
People like to call them black quilts, but I don't consider myself a black quilter. I'm a quilter who's black. My inspiration comes from travels. My husband and I used to travel. We were both golfers, and we traveled all over the United States and sometimes internationally to play golf. I like color. They're inspired by things that I have experienced. If my quilts make you smile, that's all I want you to do.
My mother's quilts, they were on a bed, they were functional. For me, I like the art of the quilts. First quilt that I made, I thought it was like a disaster. It was a log cabin pattern that, quilters have these patterns and we follow to make a quilt. I said, I want to make it more. So I turned it into Brown versus Board of Education, because that was a court case that affected, me in my lifetime, because I went to segregated schools in Alabama. To continue with that story, currently that quilt is on display at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. As I said, I like the idea of quilts being considered art. And being in a gallery or being in a museum. When you finish a quilt, that's what you do, you get up and dance.
Many people, both white and black, have moved from the traditional blocks that were learned in the early days and have moved to what's called art quilts. Or in our community, many of us are doing what are called story quilts. It comes from a long tradition. We did a quilt exhibit that was called Neighborhoods Coming Together, Quilts Around Oakland. And the quilts were of things within the community of Oakland that were important to us. And it really put us on the map